Welcome to this session of our Entity Framework core series. Today we will be discussing one-to-one relationships in the context of Entity Framework core. So, what is a one-to-one relationship? So in Entity Framework core, one-to-one relationship means one entity is associated with at most one's other entity. So, so to illustrate this, let's think about relational database. If each row in one table corresponds to only one related row in another table, that is one-to-one relationship. So for example, an employee can have employee detail sorted in another table. So for example here, employee, right? So he had employee detail and then employee just one employee detail solved in other table. Okay, so so the employee table would source basic information like ID, length, while the employee detail table could source additional information such as address and phone number. So So in the entity framework core, this relationship can be modeled using private key and foreign key. So we follow a code first and data or database first approaches to manage database schema. So entity framework core handle relationship using a few key concepts. So the first thing we have to understand is principal entity. So this is main entity, often referred to as the private key, referred to as the parent entity. So the and then another concept is dependency entity. The entity relies on the principal entity, referred to as the child entity. So in our example here, so go back to example. In our example, employee is a principal entity. Okay, this is a principal entity, and because I have employee details, and so that employee detail is the dependency entity. So the relationship is managed through the primary and foreign key. So to set up a one-to-one relationship in the EF core, you need to create two classes. For example, we have as I mentioned before, we need to have employee and classes and employee detail classes. So this is my example. Okay, so employee classes have a pirate key. So this is a pirate key. So I set you can set a pirate key. So this is an annotation. So we also need to use reference navigation property to inform EF core that the foreign key uh, in the employee details here. So yes. So go to this one. So here is a quick breakdown of the step involved. So define the principal entity such as employee and dependency entity such as employee details. So add a foreign key to the dependency entity. Use refers replication property to link both entities as strings to the database using migration. So you can implement this with either data and annotation or the through API in the model creating method. For example, you can use key to explicitly specify the private key property. So once you set up the relationship in the code, run the following command to update your database. So first you have to run the add migration one-to-one relationship. One-to-one relationship just like that to create the migration, and then execute to update database to apply the migration to the database. So after you updating, you should see the employee detail table will with the correct foreign key to the employee table. So we go back to have a look here. So go to in So in more common since zero that employee can have many ones of managers, but managers may be isolated with many employee. So this cannot be one-to-one relationship. Okay, so manager and the employee cannot be one-to-one relationship. So what is one-to-one relationship? As I mentioned before, so employee and the employee detail is a one-to-one relationship. And another case is one-to-many relationship is one example to one-to-one relationship would be a employee and employee detail. So the table in the employee table, I have solved the employee ID. So okay, employee ID here, employee name, and then here employee table, employee ID, employee name, and first name and last name. So we want to keep recess of the detail in the separate table that the employee detail table. So employee detail table before. We discussed how to set up this one-to-one relationship first because I mentioned before. So we go to the database. We need to show actually. So now we go back to the FTP context here. So this one. So we expand the database here. You have a look that let me see. We try to type the first post first. So here we use to add to one relationship here. Okay, so you go to under the migration folder. You will see the one-to-one relationship is already here. So now you have to update the database. Okay, so the database has been updated. So in the SQL, in the SQL Server one-to-one relationship can be created using the private key and the unique foreign key here. So you can see that have a key. This is key. This private key. This in here. This one is a foreign key. Right. This is an employee ID. So the employee ID in the employee detail is a foreign key. So as I mentioned before that employee detail is a dependency entity. Okay, so in the relationship we have a principal entity which is a parent entity and a dependency entity which is a child entity on a principal entity. So we set the private key and on a dependency entity we set a foreign key. So and we also have a specific property. We call it as a reference navigate property into our case. This is employee classes in the principal entity. We need to create one and more class that is a employee details. Okay, so So go back here. We need to create one more class. Employee. This is not this one. It's employee details. So this is our dependency entities. So and then ILAM is employee detail. So yes, one thing you have to go back to the employee detail. So we need to add the foreign key here, and then also need to add the entity. This is parent entity. You have to add this one. This is reference navigate property. Okay, so that's it. So that is for today's session on one-to-one relationship in the Entity Framework Core. I hope you found this useful. So if you have any question, feel free to ask in the comment below. See you in the next video, and thank you for watching.